Hello, in the previous video I posted was in regards to the cornucopia, and I did a bit of a focus on the AMP building, well, across Australia, but or New South Wales, Australia, but especially the AMP building in Sydney, the old AMP building, and how it connects to, well, now we'll have a look at how, well, firstly, that building has just like, well, strong connections to Freemasonry, and we'll have a look a bit further. So sunflowers probably the most well-known natural expression of the Fibonacci numbers and the phi spiral. So that's a spiral based on Fibonacci, and then we have Fibonacci numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144, 23, 233, 377, and that will be the focus. It's also worth noting 144 and 55, how they too are embedded. They come together, 377, but I'll do that separately some other time. But Fibonacci, so, and how that connects to, well, the golden ratio. And there you can see how that works out. But firstly, so I've mentioned the AMP building, the older AMP building there on the harbour, and the cornucopia there, and there we see the figure that was in the previous video. But here's the interesting part: the curtain wall is 377 feet. Now AMP is not an iconic, internationally well known, but what is internationally well known is the Sydney Opera House, which is, so if this is the harbour, this is the Opera House, the AMP building would be just over here. But interesting point, 613 by 377 feet wide. So again, 377. But this is, well, it keeps popping up. So, okay, Sydney Harbour Bridge, well known, internationally known, one of those, again, iconic. John Bradfield was the engineer, also a mason. Now, amongst other things, well, because 144 and 55 is in here, but anyway, the total bridge length, including the approaches, 3,770 feet long. Also, the recurrence of 528. So that would, again, that's. But so the AMP building, the curtain wall, 377 feet. The harbour bridge, including approaches, 3,770 feet. And so there we get an idea. There's the AMP building and 377 feet wide Opera House. Now, another very Mrs. Macquarie's chair, designed by Mrs. Macquarie, Elizabeth Macquarie herself, who was the wife of the 5th Governor of Australia, Lachlan Macquarie, who was not just a Freemason, described as a conscientious Freemason, but Mrs. Macquarie's road, planned it, measured 3 miles and 377 yards. So 3 miles is 5,280 yards, and 377 yards as an example. Again, so how this is built into even the harbour bridge, not just in the measure of length, but of height, but also the measure of weight. And this is how these guys work. They're very clever. So the AMP building, I mentioned Thomas Sutcliffe Mort, but strong connection. So the fountain in Macquarie Place, where the Thomas Sutcliffe Mort statue now is, that's where it was anyway. That too was designed by Mrs. Macquarie, even though Francis Greenway gets the credit, but there's more than enough records to say she was the inspiration for it. At the very least, he just signed off on it because he was the official architect. But 377 in Sydney, with these strong connections to masonry and through the golden number. So again, the Harbour Bridge, 3,770 feet long with approaches. The Opera House, 377 feet wide. The AMP building, 377 feet high. Mrs. Macquarie's chair, 3 miles and 377 yards. But mentioned him before, Anish Kapoor. He designed this for the London Olympics, which overloaded. But anyway, that's 377 feet high. He did Cloudgate in Chicago. It's always connected to Fibonacci numbers 144 and the golden ratio. Keogh Gates of Europe in Madrid. Each of these is 377 feet high. It's also interesting that they're a 15-degree incline, which should give you that lovely pendulum connection, 108,000 seconds or 30 degrees. But every one of these, it's not just one, it's multiple references. But Bronx Whitestone Bridge in New York, the tower height 377 feet and the length 3,770 feet long, just like the Sydney Harbour Bridge, including approaches. George Washington Bridge, I did this in an earlier series. The whole thing's overloaded with 144, 55, all these other Fibonacci numbers, beautiful other harmonic numbers as well. But what's the height of the towers from the deck? 377 feet. Another reference to the Fibonacci. Now, the Frederic Bartholdi, Freemason, designed the Statue of Liberty. Again, I did the other measures and proportions. It's all loaded with it. But anyway, 377 steps from the lobby to the crown, and also the Voortrekker Monument, which includes again all these other numbers, measures, references. Even it was so Egyptian, the design, that they had to scale it back, but still more than enough. But anyway, the steps from the car park to the monument itself, 377 steps. Chartres Cathedral is one of the shining lights in regards to this, the esoteric and the older stonemason guilds and the way that they operated. That's 377 feet high. Reims Cathedral, the nave length 377 feet, and it also just works out to be 144 hands as well. Statue of Liberty plus all the other stuff, but again 108. But the second level is 377 feet high. The first level as well converts to Doric. 189 feet is the first level. That converts in the Doric scale to 29.53125, 29.53 days per synodic month, also 273, but it's not for the topic now. Just like the Eiffel Tower, the Gallery of the Machines was meant to be a temporary structure for an exhibition at the time. They kept the Eiffel Tower up, but they demolished this, but this was 377 feet long. It's always been speculated, why was the Washington Monument not aligned perfectly well? It's more than a couple beautiful reasons, but firstly, it's 6 degrees off true alignment, which is 377 feet. And Kurt Helfrich mentions this. And so again, it's not just one, they have multiple references to this, so it's not just coincidence. One of the, this is a reconstruction of a temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, 377 feet long, and again 180 feet wide, which gives you all these lovely conversions to not just the modern English, the foot that we think of as modern, which is actually quite ancient, but it also converts to other archaic units of measure to again deliver us to a whole series of harmonic numbers. The older ship, as described, now because it depends on the description, but most of them, the Phalamigos, 2nd century BC, 377 feet long and 66 feet wide as well. Again, that delivers you to all, that's one chain, Gunther's chain, again allegedly a modern unit of measure, but anything but modern. Billionaires, so the Polaris was 377 feet long. The HMAS Warramunga, Australian ship, 377 feet long. In New York, the Peking, so these clipper ships as well, they just so often come back to this number. And if it's part of an older superstitious time, well, we just look at the USS Washington, 34 feet diameter and 377 feet long. Well, 34 is also Fibonacci, and then you include the 33 feet, so that's half of 66. And Mrs. Macquarie's chair is 33 feet above sea level as well, and that. So, yeah, they embed these numbers. So, especially like 55, 144, and 377, especially are just always in these particular buildings, and you have to remember these are connected to individuals who studied ancient architecture or who are very much involved in the Hermetic, the esoteric traditions. And so just one example, but we always have multiple references in weights and measure to these very important special numbers, and so often it's connected to people who are Rosicrucians, Oddfellows, Freemasons, and these types of organisations. And so this is just, it's one of these things that these can be measured. It's in plain sight, and it can be measured, and it's just repeated and repeated and repeated. And this is just a small collection of cards that I've had sitting in a folder I just want to store away, and I just come across because I was doing the cornucopia and mentioned the AMP building. So where it's precession, dimensions, sun, earth, and moon size proportions. Relationship of distance in regards to diameter. It's always there. It's just so nice and so cool. And with that, 377 Fibonacci's golden ratio. It's embedded in there. And with that, have a good one.